Hi, and welcome to the Locker Room. I'm one of your hosts, Justin Ham, and thank you so much for joining us as we journey through tough issues that guys face as athletes and as humans. Let's welcome our guest today, Alex Bonitto, as he is here to help us navigate the questions of guys, God, and does it matter? Well, hi, Alex. Thank you so much for taking some time to be here with us. And just if you want to, just start with tell us a little bit about yourself and how you and I got connected that we could have you here on the podcast today.
Sure thing, Justin. Yeah, so I'm a high school math teacher, but I'm also a competing athlete still at 30 years old. So I still have that competitive kind of drive in me. But I got connected with FCA through Janine Cavallero.
Mhm.
I started a Bible club last year, and I was just reaching out to people to help me with resources. Janine was a name that came up, and we I think we got burgers. I think the first time we met, and
Okay.
we became really close. I call her my big sister.
Mm.
I'm the little brother, even though I'm much bigger than her. Uh, and we just got connected, and then long story short, she invited me to 360 run by FCA, and then I meet this wonderful gentleman named Justin, and we just clicked.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
yes,
we
sir.
just
We
connected.
definitely did click. That's
We
right.
did click. It was definitely a click.
Yeah, we had to. For those of you who aren't sure, 360 is a regional camp that we FCA hosts in Massachusetts. So kids from all over the Northeast come, and we had 130 college and high school athletes this summer. And Alex and I got partnered up to do one of the fitness components. You can't tell by looking at me, but you could probably tell by looking at him if you can see him that he's definitely somebody who knows what he's doing in the gym.
Oh, stop.
But yeah, that's so cool. I love that. So what was it that made you want to get involved with that Bible club a year ago?
I wanted to be faithful to God's
Mhm.
calling. I didn't know I was going to be a teacher. I'm actually trained in strength conditioning. So I was a strength conditioning coach, personal trainer, and all that jazz. The Lord led me out of that and led me to teaching for some reason. And then
Mm,
I'm like, all right, Lord, I want to be faithful with where you put me.
mm,
And at the time, I was pursuing a PhD in theology, and I'm like, you know what? I had the strong urge that he wanted me to just do ministry.
mm.
And I had students who were just hungry for the Lord. Like I told them, hey,
Yeah.
I'm in the pursuit of being a pastor. I tell them this like day one, just so they know who I am. And I have like countless of kids flocking to me, like, Mr. B, what about this? What about this? What about this? And I'm like, we need to start something here.
Yeah.
We need to do something to cultivate these young kids in the schools because the schools are very, very liberal, very anti-God, anti-Christian. And I just felt it pressed upon me to start something to help these young kids who are so hungry for the Lord. It's like the harvest
Mm.
was so plenty, I would have been stupid to not try to
Yeah.
cultivate that.
Yeah, that might be a good spot to start. So, what do you think it is? Like, why? I mean, I know we know why it is. We have the truth. We know what the Bible says, right? We know that, if people are searching for truth, that, ultimately they'll find it. But what do you think it is about the kids that were so desperate to wanting to find out more? What do you think that is? Some like maybe a societal issue.
Well, it could be a cultural thing. Where I'm at, there's a big Spanish population. So a
Okay.
lot of them, a lot of it's Catholic, a lot of it is even some Orthodox. Excuse me, but I think in the Spanish culture, Christianity is more open. They're more open to that. But I
Sure.
think a lot of times, a lot of kids are kind of tired of all the other stuff going on. I think
Mm.
they're so tired of the agenda that's being pushed in the public schools, where they're starting to kind of correct back to the middle, where they're getting tired of honestly a lot of this nonsense they teach, and a lot of this liberal ideology,
Mm.
and a lot of them are like, no, we want to go a little more back to the traditional middle.
Yeah.
That could be a reason too. And I think also there's been a big scene online with like apologetics and theology discussions.
Absolutely.
Like kids are seeing from their phone reasons for why Christianity is true. You have
Mm.
apologists like Frank Turek and Bill Craig and other people, who have these profound ministries, and kids are like, oh, what's this video? And they get intrigued by it and they kind of get into it. So I think that's another component to it as well.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think there's a ton of access to it, and I know social media can have a lot of downsides, but there's some positives that come from it. And I've heard that repeatedly. Kids that I didn't even know were searching were talking about this same idea of, oh, I found this out. I was looking on TikTok and all this stuff, and I think there's some real power to that. So I would 100% agree with everything that you said. So that makes
Yeah.
a lot of sense.
Yeah.
What
And
was the
even athletes,
Yeah,
a lot of athletes are coming out more, I feel like, with their fifth, a lot of football players.
yeah,
Tim Tebow was the big one. That's when I was in high school.
yep,
But there's been more and more I've noticed professing Christians who are professional athletes. I can't remember their names off the top of my head, but
yeah.
I've seen more, I think, compared to when I
Oh
was in
man.
high school. And I think that's probably motivating them as well.
I know Ohio State right now. I'm not a Buckeye by any means, but their Ohio State football team is like on fire for the Lord right now. There's like a revival happening at Ohio State, and how cool is it that the athletes are the ones getting to start that?
That's amazing. I did not know that was going
Mhm.
on. That's
Yeah.
incredible.
It's pretty neat, and I think that's kind of the whole vision behind FCA is that the idea that your athletes and coaches are the ones with influence. So how can we leverage that influence to share the gospel? And that's what's happening at FCA, and well, that's not necessarily FCA, but that's what's happening at Ohio State. The athletes are kind of leveraging and starting, and the gospel's just growing. It's kind of crazy to see, but so that's what got you connected with FCA. What was life like growing up for you? What was your spiritual journey like?
Oh man, you want the three paragraphs or you want the novel?
I
um,
want whatever you want to share, brother.
well, so I actually got to share this at an FCA event last year. And there's really kind of three inflection points in my life.
Hmm.
One when I was 5, we were deep sea fishing. And in hindsight, I see the Lord was making me a fisher of men. But
Hey,
we
that's a
were deep,
word right there.
yeah, we were deep sea fishing, and the Lord just loves to make me upset. We were there, and every single other person was catching fish, but me. I feel like he's always singling me out for good reason. So I'm sitting there, I'm all depressed, and I take things personal. I
Sure.
take things real personal. And I was just so upset that everyone was catching fish but me. I'm like, someone is just like out against me. I'm only 5. What is going on? And my mom sees me and she's like, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Well, everyone's catching fish but me. I'm upset." And she asked me, she's like, "Well, did you pray about it?" And I'm like, "No." And we prayed. And I tell you, as soon as after I prayed, that I dropped
Mm,
that line and I caught a fish.
no way.
No, yeah. I caught like 2
Wow.
fish. And as soon as I caught those fish, we had to go because the boat was turning around. So that was when I was 5. That and my mom remembers it more than I do, obviously. But she says that that's probably when I had that really God conscience. I was 5.
Sure.
Then when
You're
I
like,
was
you're like, okay, God's real, so he's here, and I'm 5.
Yeah, but I
Okay.
always kind of knew that, but
Yeah.
it was brought to life a little more.
Sure.
It was like the first like answered prayer. It was my first answered prayer, I think, actually.
Okay. That's
Yeah,
big.
yeah. And then when I was 15, that's when you could say I gave my life to Christ.
Okay.
The pastor was preaching a very convicting message. I went to the altar, did the sinner's prayer and whatnot, and that's when my heart started to change. But from
Mm,
there until 26 was the battle where I
mm,
struggled with idolatry,
yeah.
wherein I had a lot of mental problems, and I'm like, something else is going wrong. And
Mm,
it wasn't until I was 26 to where the Lord brought me to the lowest point in my life, where it's always been my dream to compete in the Olympics, and I went for it for 2021. I wasn't even close. Like it was. I'm not even gonna say how far away I was. It was embarrassing. But the whole time I thought, I'm like, Lord, I thought you were in this.
mm,
And at the end of it, I remember looking out in the ocean late at night. Like I I I, I like to do what Jesus does and just go to quiet and desolate places. I
yeah.
just talk with God. And I was the lowest I've ever been. And I asked him, like, Lord, why is this happening?
Mm,
I'm like, I feel like you're just playing with me. And I've never heard him audibly say anything to me, but I heard him say so deep in my spirit, he said, AB, when are you going to let me be your God?
mm,
And it was from then when I got really turned it around and I like was living for Christ. Like now, if you look in hindsight, everyone who knows me before that knows I'm a very religious person. I'm a Christian man of God, whatever. But deep down, I worship sport in myself. Deep
sure.
down, not many people could detect it, you know. But deep down, that's the life I was living. I was living
Right.
in sin. Um, but on the outside, I was a clean cut guy. Never drank, never smoked, never did anything, but I had a hidden sin. The
Mm,
Lord kind of broke me from that. And then now I'm 30. So 4 years from there, it's just been just upward journey of knowing God, exponential growth.
yeah.
And now I'm here.
Mm. I love that. Well, thank you for sharing all of that. I love hearing people's stories of how God gets a hold of their heart. But one of the things that I think a lot of people can resonate with is that piece you said towards the end there is like that idea of you knew on the inside that there was sin there, or there was that sport was your God.
Mm.
On the outside, though, nobody would know. And I think a lot of people listening to this could register with that. I know resonate with that. I know I do. And I think that is something that I think is easy to do, and it's hard to overcome that. So, what was it about that time with God, looking out at the ocean when you were praying, Lord, I thought you were in this? Like, how did you then begin to make those changes of putting him in the spot where he needs to be?
Because I tried every possible thing I could to achieve this goal
Hmm.
my way.
Yeah.
And I realized I actually don't have what it takes if I
Mm,
do it my way.
yeah.
And the Lord had to bring me to the lowest point in my life. Like it was low, dude. I mean, years before that, I asked him to take my life.
Yeah.
Like I was low. Um, but I realized that I just I felt his presence. I don't want to get too like emotionalism, but like I felt a strong comfort
Hmm.
in that pain that there's a way to do it right.
Mm,
And I felt convicted of my sin. I'm like, as soon as I came to that realization, I looked up and I said, I think I said like, oh wretched man that I am.
mm,
And I just felt so convicted. And I said, Lord, I'm sorry for living my life without you.
right.
And I want you. And he took that desire. For some time, I was going to give up sport.
Good.
But the Lord, but there was still a little bit in there. And I think the Lord was saying, listen, we're going to do it the right way this time. It's a Cinderella story of a second chance. And I just wanted to honor.
Yeah. Mm,
Yeah.
I love that. Well, that's huge, and I think I know for me anyway, it's been one of those situations where God's been trying to get my attention, trying to get my attention, trying to get my attention. And it takes me, it's my fault. It's not God's fault. It's my fault for not finally getting to the point where I'm like, oh, you know what? Maybe I should let you take the steering wheel, to quote Carrie Underwood, Jesus, take the wheel. But oftentimes it's like I find myself wanting to drive that. And it's hard. I think the competitor in us as athletes, I don't know if it's a trust thing, I don't know if it's a faith thing, I don't know what it is, but it's hard for us to almost sometimes let God be God.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. But here we are. And one of the things that I heard in that story though is you had this desire to be excellent at something. And the Olympics is something for those of you if you aren't sure, AB is a track and field. It's the you do the multi you're a multi-sport athlete or
Yeah.
multidiscipline
I compete in the decathlon. Correct.
decathlon. So high level athlete. So like, I think
I
every
would
kid
say
when they're
that.
little wants to wants to play in the NBA or the NFL, but AB talking about the Olympics, it's not like that's out of the realm of possibility. So like that's it's not like me wanting to play in the NBA with LeBron James. Like I'd love that, but probably not going to happen. This is like a realistic possibility for him. So that's something that I think. How did you wrestle with that? Like you said it just a minute ago how maybe you're not good enough. How did you
Yeah.
find yourself dealing through that?
It was just okay. I was okay with it. I'm like, if I'm not good enough, that's okay. Because it's not my God anymore.
Mm,
And um, I realized just living for him wherever any competition I go to produces fruit. So I made it an endeavor to talk about Jesus to someone at every competition.
mm,
I made it an endeavor to not stress out, or I used to get really bad anxiety.
okay.
And I used to be like a performance Calvinist, meaning that
Mm.
God ordained my performance and there's nothing else I can do. So why
Okay.
bother? So I would get this crazy anxiety and I was freed from it to where like I'm like, oh, I have some control over this.
Yeah.
And there was one competition I remember I was throwing shot put, and I was maybe 27, 28 at the time. I think it was 28 at the time. And I was throwing really bad. This new kid who came on the squad, he's like a young kid, 19, was throwing further than me. And I'm supposed to be really good at the shot put. He's throwing further than me. And years ago, I would get really upset and anxious about it. But I'm like, you know what? If he beats me, it's okay. But I think there's something I can fix. Let me fix this one thing I'm doing wrong. I fix this one thing, I break the club record.
Mm.
So like it's helped with my thinking and the way I process anxiety or anything that I want in life, anything I care about. I give it to him. Like, all right, Lord, if you take it away, that's okay. Because you took it away from me. You
Yeah.
took everything away from me in a sense. You took away all my idols, but you replaced it with something better. So I just trusted him.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
even if I don't, honestly, I don't think I'm talented enough to ever compete in the Olympics. I would love to compete in the trials. I think that's a little more realistic.
Sure.
Um, but even if I don't, the um the journey, the things I'm learning as I train, the things, the wisdom I've gained from training and putting God in my training is helping me with other areas of my life.
Mm.
And I feel like I'm so far in my wisdom with training that other areas of my life need to catch up. You
Yeah.
know, like my patience with like my students. I'm like, oh, remember the patience you had with yourself when you were doing this workout? Use that for that. So it's like
Mm.
everything is catching up to like the wisdom I gained from my sport.
Yeah.
It's just been an amazing process.
That's so cool. And I think that's that healthy perspective that I know it's something that I've struggled with. I know a lot of athletes struggle with that is they take their worth and their value as who they are as people oftentimes is directly correlated to how they do in their sport, whether it's track and field, whether it's soccer, basketball, football, baseball. So when they're doing well at that thing, they feel more valuable. They feel like their value matters. They're worthy. They're worthy. They have more to bring to the table. But then if they're in a slump or they get hurt or they get injured or they're not able to perform at the way that they're supposed to, or somebody's better than them, then all of a sudden their world just gets shattered. And what I love about what I'm hearing from you is you're able to put rather than focus on the I like that the would you call God a Calvinist, a performance Calvinist,
Yeah,
where rather than having your thought so much on how you do, your focus is on the fact that all right, this is how God made me, this is where I'm at, this is how I can use my sport as an act of worship,
yeah,
and in the
exactly.
process of all of that, it frees your mind from all that anxiety, and it frees your mind from all of that crap that's happening that you don't have control over anyway. And it's allow you to just be present and connected to what God has for you.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, I've never enjoyed the sport until now.
Wow.
Never enjoyed. I never really enjoyed. I enjoyed winning.
Sure.
The
Who
whole
doesn't?
process, the pre-race anxiety, and I used to hate it. Now I just enjoy it all. I have so much
Mm,
joy in everything I do in sport now, and
yeah.
it's just been amazing.
Mm,
And I guess I should say this, but I had a competition about 5 weeks ago, um, in Ohio, and I ran a lifetime best.
Wow.
I haven't ran a lifetime best in 8 years, but this
Wow.
year I've been doing it the Lord's way.
Mm.
I've been training less. I used to train 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day. Now 6 days a week. Now I train maybe 90 minutes to 2 hours a day, 4 to 5 days a week.
Okay.
At 30 years old, I ran a lifetime best.
Wow.
Yeah, and I just enjoy it. And I wasn't even saying to myself, "Oh, I have to PR. I have to do this." My coach thought I could PR. I'm like, I don't know.
Mm.
And I developed this. It's like this cautious. One of my friends coined the word. It's like you have like a cautious confidence
Mm.
of like, oh, I think I might be able to do it, but I'm not sure yet. You know, it's like, oh, I might do. I put in a lot of work. There's some evidence that I might be, but I'm not sure if I can.
Sure.
Before I was like, oh, I'm going to PR. I have to PR. Now I'd be destroyed if I didn't. Now it's like, oh, I think I can actually do this. Let me see if I can try.
Mm.
And that mindset, that mind frame for me is much better. And I usually compete way better with that mind frame,
Mm.
even in anything in life.
Sounds like, because it sounds like in that kind of way of thinking, you're focused more on the process than on the result.
Absolutely. You know what it is? I just try to replicate what I do in practice.
Hmm.
That's it. Well, I did this in practice. Let's see if I can do it in a competition. And
Yeah.
whatever the result is a result.
Mm. And I can see how that could even translate to life, man. I
It
mean,
is
like
all
it's
life.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Like I tell my students, I'm like, listen, like you study, you try to replicate all the good work you did in school, in class, and try to do it on the test, and that's it. Or like anything, like relationships or anything, you do your best to talk to someone. If things don't work out, they don't work out. You know,
Right.
but you don't beat yourself up over the results because God is the final arbiter of those things, and you can rest in
Mm.
that. And a lot of times, I have OCD. So we're more prone to like worry and ruminate over things.
Hmm.
And I realized the Lord saying, listen, you don't have to worry. You don't have to ruminate. You don't have to get
Mm.
yourself all scurried up. You don't have to do that. In me, you can have rest. And He
Yeah.
used sport to help me. Like I knew that in my head, but He helped me to see that in my heart.
Mm.
And He used sport as a tool for that.
How freeing was that once you realized you can just find rest?
I think I cried when I realized it. I was like, it was like everything lifted up, all the
Mm.
weight. I forget the exact passage, but come unto me who are heavy laden, I'll give you rest. Like that came to life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, there's a freedom. There's a freedom, I think, and I think that tends to be what makes us, well, I say us generously, what makes people who are high level athletes is their obsessive training and regimen and their attention to detail. And I don't think necessarily that's a bad thing, but I think there's definitely an imbalance that can be developed from that. And I think the two are linked. And when you can get to the point where you can just say, you know what, I can do what I can do, and the results are not in my hands anyway. And God just, here I am. And I think that's what it sounds like for you. You're able to find that rest. And I know there's a lot of people who might be listening to this who are going through the same thing. I mean, I'm a coach. I coach, and it's just like, how can I bring stuff like this into my coaching so these kids don't feel the pressure, but also at the same time work to their highest level? And it's just that idea of, God has control of the results. All we can do is put the process in.
That's it.
Yeah, man.
That's it.
Um, so you're still competing.
Hmm.
What is what when what's your competition schedule look like now?
Well, we're in the preseason now. I just started this week, just training, just light, getting into it. The goal is to maybe start either December or January indoor to
Okay.
get ready. I think my coach wants me to try to do a heptathlon. That's an indoor multi event, 7 events.
Okay.
I hate the heptathlon. For me, the more events, the better.
Sure.
Um, but we're gonna try to do it, and then we're gonna try to do a full deck sometime in the summer. The goal is to get back to doing a full deck. I haven't done a full deck since 2021.
Okay.
And
So
that
it's
time I
been
did it, I didn't finish.
okay.
So to tell you, like I wasn't close to even getting to where I wanted. I didn't finish the deck.
Mm,
Um,
okay.
yeah, and even if I did, I wouldn't even be close. But the goal is to do a full deck this year, and my season ends late. I mean, probably early mid August. So
Okay.
I like to start a little later.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. Well, before we wrap up and get out of here, is there just any other thoughts or pearls of wisdom that you just want to share to anyone who might be listening?
Well, I think one thing I would say is if you find yourself caught in that cycle, it's always best to just evaluate what's going on. So I developed this model for my kids. It's called the cycle of perseverance,
Mm,
and I use it for math, but I can show you with my hands. So you have a problem up here.
yeah.
I should have drew it out for you guys. You have a problem, then you have two options. Either you know how to solve it or you don't. Okay. If you know how to do it, you can solve it, then you're probably going to be happy about it, right? Your emotions at the end, right? Problem up here, emotions down here. The other side, you can you have two options. Either you don't know how to do it. Sorry, you either give up or you can just find new information. Once you find new information, you can get back into the side of knowing, right? If you give up, you're probably going to be frustrated. But there's this cycle of new information and then not knowing again, then new information and not knowing again. I call this a cycle of perseverance.
Mm,
It might take you 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 cycles of finding new information to getting out of that not knowing category into knowing and finishing.
mm,
And I use that for math, for my math students. But then I erase the word math problem and write any problem. And I ask them, can this fit? It's not a perfect model, but it shows them that the emotions are at the very end. You don't have to get discouraged and emotional right now. You can
yeah.
logically work through it. So if they're
Mm,
going through something, if you have anxiety over anything, just find new information. As a Christian, that new information is knowledge of God.
yeah.
I heard a great quote that what is it? What we know about God is like the most important thing. What we know about God determines how we behave. So if you're in a position where you're going down that emotional spiral, find more knowledge of God. And that
Mm,
knowledge of God will repurpose or redirect your thinking on to get on the other side. There's two books I read: The Christian Athlete by Brian Smith and Stop Trying by Carrie Schmidt. And those really helped me put in perspective the identity thing.
sure.
That was the new information I needed to know. That
Yeah.
there's horizontal identity based on either what you do or what you say you are. Then there's vertical identity by what God says you are.
That's
And I
right.
had to realize that to help me through these things. So
Mm,
if someone's struggling with anything, just find more knowledge of God. And if you feel like you know it up here, then that means this needs some change. So you probably should fast.
okay.
Fasting is a great opportunity for your body to catch up to your mind.
I like that.
So that's what
That's a good.
that's
I
what I
like that.
leave you guys with.
Cycle of perseverance. I like that.
Yeah.
Is that an AB original?
Yeah, I came up with that to help me study for my math test to get my license.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's huge. So it's not only something you thought of, it's something you put into practice too.
Yes, sir.
I love that. Well, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for taking some time to share your wisdom with us.